for your peace, near to you, my God. We are members of a community, a sorority, a fraternity, because we are members of the Church. We are called to be an intense expression of what the Church should be. Fraternity, sorority, community life flows from all the foregoing. Francis loves the world. He sees things differently, especially when he discovers God. He then returns to the world, and he sees God everywhere. This is really about his conversion journey. Frivolous, pleasure, illness, awakening to God, change of heart, return to world, sees God in all. Francis takes on a life of penance. Francis finds the Church. There he finds the Word, the Eucharist, and companions, brothers. A needed companion and a faithful friend was given to Francis by God. Bernard of Quintavalle was called by God. He gave up all to be a follower and companion of Francis. They truly loved one another in the Lord. Bernard, with Francis, took up a life of poverty and penance. Together their lives praised God and called others to join them. We are ones who participate in the divine vocation. Francis quotes Hebrews 3:1. Qui vocationis divinae participe. Who participates in the divine vocation? Francis became lovingly aware of fraternal life. His primary awareness was that we are gifts of God to one another. We provide one another with opportunities of growth, support, strength, and needed companionship. He was also aware that we are persons gathered together in the Spirit of the Lord. We are gathered around Jesus Christ. Francis speaks about the brothers and about brotherhood, about fraternity, community. The relationships Francis has in community are a sign of his relationship with God. Francis calls us, his followers, to be Christocentric. We are to be Christocentric communities. Such a community is one which is striving after unity, a reflection of the triune God. Why? Because it is brought about by the Spirit. Our communities are to be models, models which express part of the mystery, but not all of it. The model which points beyond the mystery, it is to the greater mystery of the Trinity. The community at the Rivo Torto was a healthy one. It was this because the members prayed continuously, using the cross as their beacon light. They were deprived of almost everything. They were very crowded, yet there were no murmurs. Good fraternity does flow from poverty, but it is inner poverty that allows us to really live the life of the Spirit. Living the life of the Spirit is living real community. The community at St. Mary of the Porciuncula. Francis went out from here to preach. The community consisted of 12 friars gathered with Mary at the Porciuncula. Here they were filled by the Spirit. One can only be filled by the Spirit through prayer, fasting, inner and exterior poverty, and self-emptying. These were the practices they undertook. In doing so, they became a fraternity. We must do the same if we wish to form community. It was a faith community gathered at the Portiuncula. The companions were gathered together with Francis under the protection of Mary. They lived in such a manner that anyone could see they were in the world, but not of it. They all believed they had left the world and embraced the gospel life. This is shown in their obedience, recitation of the office, prayer life of mortification. These are the signs of their healthy community. They were signs to the world and to each other. These followers of Francis were really a community of apostles. They were on the road much of the time. They went out to proclaim the good news to all the world. Their strength to do this came from the fact they gathered together as community from time to time. Love in community helps us to overcome fears. We are bound together by that spirit of fraternity. Our apostolates will be shaped by our community. We will show our care for one another. We will be needed companions and faithful friends. Common desire should strengthen our communities. The Spirit embraces both God and human beings. Both are swept into incarnational history. God the highest, humans the lowest. When we have found our companions, we have found God. And when we find God in our sisters and brothers, we have discovered our means of growing in love for God and for each other. We must work at the appreciation that we are gifts to each other. This, then, is real fraternity. What do you think?